Without disclosing all of my preps, I wanted to share with you some of the primary things I'm doing to prepare in case we're in a situation where we don't have a rule of law. We have gangs, looters, and so forth coming to the area. As I've watched videos of other countries that have had financial collapses or other problems, as I've watched videos here in the United States where baseball teams have won, or in Europe where soccer teams have lost, and seen the riots, most of the things I've seen have to do with fire and smoke. It seems to be generally what the population uses in a situation where there's no rule of law. So one thing I have in every one of my rooms that has a closet is an ABC fire extinguisher. I think that's very important. I see a lot of Molotov cocktails being thrown. I see people lighting things and throwing them. So I think that's important to have. Now, in my home, and if we're in a situation where we're in a rule without law, I have specific assignments for specific individuals in my home. And one of those assignments would be one person, at least one person would be in charge exclusively of fire control. So if we're having to protect the house and we have a situation where someone's throwing something in the house, like a Molotov cocktail, then we would call that one individual, and he maintains fire control and fire suppression while others maintain security, whether it's surveillance, using weapons to protect us. So I think this is a very common sense thing to have in a home. I think it's important to have in the garage, in the kitchen, in the bedrooms. Consider wherever there is a smoke detector, that's probably where you should have a fire extinguisher. So I think that's very important. First thing that I think that's important in preparing for a situation where we may have mobs or gangs or problems like that is to have a network of people that you can rely on, that you can communicate with, because you will not do well in a situation where you're the only person defending your castle. This is truly a situation where it takes a community to support each other. So that in mind, I have specific people doing specific tasks. One of them, which I mentioned, was the fire control. Something else that we have here are these Israeli gas masks, and with the extra gas filters. I like this because I like the position of the filter. I think it's out of the way for using a rifle. I like it because it has a place where you can attach a drinking straw. It actually screws right in here, and you don't have to remove the mask. So I think they've done a really good job in developing this. These are very accessible on Amazon. I have a link down below. I'll share with you where I found the best price for these Israeli masks and filters. I have weapons to protect myself. We are all fully trained. We constantly are on a continuing education training with our weapons. We get better and better at each of them. We have multiple types of weapons, so we're prepared to protect ourselves with handguns, rifles, shotguns, and other devices. Something else that maybe you may not consider is if someone breaks into your home, you want to be able to hear what's going on, and that's where these electronic earmuffs come in. Found these on Amazon at a real good price too. What this will allow you to do is hear much better what's going on in the house, but when you shoot a firearm, you won't have that really loud noise that's going to happen when you fire a firearm inside of a home. So this has a big advantage in hearing what's going on, what's being possibly said if there's multiple assailants, but be able to suppress the noise of a firearm. I think communications is very important, and knowing what's going on in your property. One way of doing that, and a very inexpensive way of doing that, again these are off of Amazon, is to get window or door alarms. I think these work great. You don't have to have an expensive security system in your house. You simply set these on your windows or doors. I think you get 2 of them for like $5. And you set it to chime every time a door or window opens, or you set it so that the alarm goes off when a door or window opens. And here I would use this on my gate, on my yard fence. I put a little camouflage tape on it, and so if somebody opens up the gate, then they hear an alarm go off and I hear the alarm go off. Now I could also lock the gate, but people are going to come over a gate. I'd rather have them come through a gate, which will set off an alarm. And so that's why I don't plan on locking the gate, and I'd like to get your thoughts on that. But I want to know if someone's coming in, I want them to hear that shrieking alarm sound, and for them to know that I've heard that. In addition to that, I think communications is extremely important, as I mentioned, and that's why we have these. And these are very inexpensive. I think a lot of people have these, but the reason that we have these is for disinformation. I don't think most people are going to have this level of communications here, these Dakota alerts. They use radio frequencies, just like all radios do, but they're on a frequency that most people don't have access to. So I think most people would have this and could be monitoring these for information if they think that we may be prepared, and this would be great to be monitoring them and for sending out disinformation. Now, the people in my communications network all have these Dakota alerts, and so we can communicate freely on a frequency that is pretty much, isn't secure, but pretty much unused. In addition to that, the Dakota also has an infrared sensor. I have multiple units, this is zone 1, set up throughout my property, and so if someone breaks that beam, I know if they're in zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, etc., and where to put my attention. The nice thing about this is that this will send an alert to the radio, so everybody who's on the radio will know that we have an intrusion in a particular zone. It also sends to this base station inside the house. Now, of course, all these take batteries. That's why I use the Eneloop batteries, because those are great rechargeable batteries. I've already done a video on the Eneloop batteries. I think it's very important to have good batteries and battery charger. That's the reason why I have solar, is so I can charge those batteries. All my preps kind of come together in supporting each other. I think it's very important to know what's going on your own property and in your community, and that's also why, to reach out a little bit further, is why I have a ham radio. This is a very inexpensive unit. Doesn't go a long ways. I've gotten out easily 20-25 miles with this. So for local support and information, this is good. This is really good to have. This is a mobile unit. It's a 12-volt unit, but I also have a 12-volt AC converter that I use inside the house. So I can put this in my car, and I use it in the house as a base station. So all these things together work very, very well. I don't think you need all of these. And if you want to kind of go a step above that, you can have a security system that really surrounds your entire home, so you can see all around your house and know what's going on at any time. It's very comforting for me to know that when my wife is working in the garden, I have this up in the house, in my office, and I can see what she's doing. Of course, when she's in the garden and I'm in the office, we have our concealed handgun licenses, and so we're always carrying. With this security system, which I also bought online, I have a complete bird's eye level of the 360 degrees around my home. So that's kind of more an advanced situation there. But to start out, I would definitely get at least a fire extinguisher. These are very inexpensive. I think they're like $25, $35. You can get an extra, some of these for maybe $10. These door alarms are very inexpensive and let you know what's going on if anybody opens a window or door. The radios is great. If you're not able to get these units here, then I would definitely go with something like this and just determine a specific channel that you're going to be using with a sub-channel. These electronic earmuffs are great. What I'm saying is I didn't get this all at once. This has taken years to acquire, but I feel with this and other preps I have, I'm pretty well prepared if something comes. I also want to blend into my community, so if I need to board up the windows, if I need to trash the yard, if whatever, I want to be kind of under the radar, not let people know that I'm prepped here. If someone does try to harm us, we're informed because we have the communications, we've got the video, we've got protection from fire and smoke, we've got self-protection with our handguns and rifles, shotguns. We are not going to be victims by not being prepared. What this does for me is let me sleep better at night. This helps me if something happens quickly, that I'm already prepared. I have a system and a plan in place with my communications network, my neighbors, my family, that we can prepare and help each other. I do have the garden outside, which is part of our food preps. I've got the water storage outside, but I don't have everything outside. Even though those may be vulnerable because they're outside the house, I'm not depending on those 100% for our food and water. Hope this has helped you get some ideas. Find out what works best for you. Do it a step at a time. We don't want to spend a lot of money all at once. Just do it as you can. But slowly and surely get prepared. And you can kind of see from left to right here where I put my priorities and where I put my money. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if you are prepared, you don't need to fear. You'll have communications, you'll have eyes, you'll have ears, you have fire and smoke protection, and you'll sleep much better at night.